Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder, the place where we unravel the hidden stories within company filings. Today we're diving into a routine report that might surprise us with its peek behind the curtain of American homes for rent. And let's just say they have some interesting highlights to share. Before we jump in, if you love getting these clear, no-nonsense breakdowns of corporate news, make sure you subscribe. And for those who want to connect and discuss these insights further, join our Discord community. The link is right there in the description below. Alright, what we're looking at is a report filed on September 3rd, 2025. Now, this isn't a massive quarterly earnings report, but it's filed under a regulation called Regulation FD, which basically means they're disclosing information that's important to investors. And in this case, they're pointing us to something they've posted on their website, an investor highlights presentation for September 2025. Think of this as the company give us a curated summary of what they want us to see. The company itself, American Homes for Rent, is a pretty interesting player. They're primarily in the business of owning, renting, and managing single-family homes. It's a bit like being a giant landlord, but with a corporate structure. They operate across the US, and their public filings give us a window into their financial health and strategic direction. Looking at the securities registered here, we see their Class A common shares trading on the New York Stock Exchange under the ticker AMH. They also have preferred shares, Series G and Series H, also listed on the NYSE. Preferred shares are a bit different from common stock. They often pay a fixed dividend and have a higher claim on assets if the company runs into trouble, but usually they don't come with voting rights like common stock does. It shows they're using different ways to raise money from investors. The core of this report is really about drawing our attention to that investor presentation. They're telling us, hey, go check out our website. We've got a new set of highlights for you. This is a common tactic to make sure important information reaches a wider audience simultaneously, avoiding any accusations of giving one investor an unfair advantage. It's meant to maintain fairness in how information is shared. So while the filing itself doesn't contain the deep dive financial numbers, it points us directly to them via this presentation. We have to infer the juicy details from what they chose to highlight. Typically, these presentations focus on key financial performance indicators, operational achievements, and future outlook. If they're highlighting something, it's usually because it's good news or something they want to emphasize. The mention of common Class A stocks suggests these highlights likely cover the performance and valuation related to their main ownership shares. Investors are always keen to see how the value of their common stock is performing and what factors are driving that. Similarly, when Series G preferred stock is part of the context, it implies that information regarding dividend payments, their stability, or any specific terms related to these preferred shares might be included in their highlights. For investors holding these, it's crucial to understand the company's ability to service its preferred obligations. And the same goes for Series H preferred stock. The inclusion of these different share classes in the filings metadata tells us the company has a diverse capital structure, and their investor communications will likely address the performance and prospects relevant to all these stakeholder groups. Now, what kind of investor highlights would American Homes for Rent typically present? Given their business model, we can expect them to showcase things like occupancy rates, average rental income per home, the number of homes they own and manage, perhaps growth in their portfolio, and their profitability metrics. They might also emphasize their strategy for acquiring new properties, managing maintenance costs, and their approach to tenant relations. If we were to imagine what's in that September 2025 investor presentation, based on their business, we might see numbers showing a steady increase in rental revenue, perhaps driven by rising property values or increased rental rates. They might also highlight successful management of operating expenses, which is key in the property business. A strong occupancy rate would be a definite point of pride, showing that their homes are in demand. Let's consider the potential story here. If they're releasing these highlights in September 2025, it's likely to provide investors with an update on their performance year to date or for a specific recent period. The company might be signaling strong operational execution, perhaps a successful expansion into new markets, or maybe even a strategic move to increase efficiency. However, we also need to keep in mind the Warren Buffett style of analysis. He always tells us to look past the glossy presentations and focus on the underlying reality. While they're highlighting the good stuff, what might they be not highlighting? Are their operating costs increasing faster than revenue? Are they taking on a lot of debt to acquire more homes, which could be a risk if interest rates rise or the housing market cools? The highlights are designed to present the best version of the company, so critical thinking is essential. For instance, if they mention a 5% increase in average rent, that sounds good, but if their property taxes or maintenance costs went up by 10%, that good number might actually be masking a squeezed profit margin. They might brag about owning 10,000 homes, but if half of them are vacant or require significant repairs, that's a different story. Without the actual presentation here, we're looking at the filing structure and the metadata provided. The fact that they are filing specifically to point to these highlights suggests they have something they feel is particularly noteworthy. It could be improved earnings per share, a successful debt refinancing, a significant acquisition, or even a positive outlook on the rental market. Let's think about external context. The single-family rental market can be cyclical. Economic downturns can lead to job losses, impacting tenants' ability to pay rent and potentially leading to higher vacancies. Conversely, in a strong economy, demand for rentals might increase, allowing for higher rents. Companies like American Homes 4 Rent are sensitive to interest rates too, as much of their growth is often financed by debt. The filing also includes signature blocks for Sarah Vogt-Luell, who holds multiple key roles: Chief Administrative Officer, Chief Legal Officer, and Secretary. This signifies her authority in officially representing the company in these filings. It's a standard part of the process, ensuring the report is properly authorized and legally sound. The dates appearing multiple times in the filing, like September 3rd, 2025, are critical. They establish the timeline of events and the date of reporting. This specific date, September 3rd, is when they are making this information public, and it's also the earliest date of the events being reported, meaning the investor highlights were likely available or created around this time. The mention of false in the initial block of metadata is interesting. Without seeing the full context of where that false applies, it's hard to say definitively. However, in SEC filings, such Boolean values often relate to specific conditions or elections the company is making, such as whether they are an emerging growth company or haven't taken a particular optional path. This identifier likely serves as a unique reference for this specific filing or a set of data within it, correlating to the company and the date. It's an internal or system tag to help track and categorize this particular report. Now, digging into the essence of what this report is for, it's about transparency and communication. American Homes 4 Rent is using this Form 8K, a current report, to inform the public about a significant event, the release of their investor highlights. They're not just passively providing data, they're actively directing attention to information they believe is important for investors to consider. In essence, this filing acts as a beacon, signaling to the investment community that there's new curated information available about the company's performance and strategy. It's a sign of active investor relations management. Looking at the overall picture, American Homes 4 Rent operates in a market that provides essential services housing. This can offer some resilience, as people generally need places to live regardless of economic conditions. Though the affordability and type of housing in demand can change, their business model relies heavily on efficient property management, attracting and retaining tenants, and smart financial management, especially concerning debt and capital expenditures for property upkeep and expansion. So to wrap up my take on this filing, it's less about the raw numbers within the Form 8K itself and more about the direction it provides. American Homes 4 Rent is actively pushing their narrative through investor highlights. The key for any investor would be to access and scrutinize that September 2025 presentation. What they choose to highlight, and crucially what they don't, will tell you a lot about their current situation and their confidence in their future. The risks for a company like this always revolve around macroeconomic factors. Interest rates affecting debt costs and buyer demand, local housing market conditions, and regulatory changes impacting landlords. Opportunities lie in continued population growth, effective cost management, and smart portfolio acquisitions. My assessment, based on this filing alone, is that the company is proactively managing its investor communications. The strength lies in their directness about where to find the latest positive spin. A weakness, or rather a point of caution, is that we need to look beyond these highlights to get a truly balanced view. They are presenting a curated snapshot, and the real test is whether that snapshot accurately reflects long-term health and stability, especially considering the potential for market fluctuations. Alright, that's our deep dive into what this American Homes 4 Rent filing is signaling. What do you think about their strategy of pointing to investor highlights? Do you think it's a good way to communicate, or does it raise any red flags for you? Let me know in the comments below if you found this breakdown useful. Please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more insights into the world of corporate finance. And don't forget to join our Discord for more discussions like this. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.